Hello, mateys. This is Gary Scouts of the Pirates of the Caribbean film series here. Today is Wednesday, February 15, 2017. Today's the day was the 15th. So, I've been watching those of the second season of the completed the 2015 of the Black Sails. When they have the scene about the 2 years last. They have the cast of the descendant to the those that have many of them, the dozen of pirates. It does means about it against. This means about it against the notorious pirates were ever met. So, I'm gonna have to walk downstairs to the couch there. So, I'm gonna sit to relax there. So, my sister's still sleeping. My brother's still homeworking to doing the stuff, the tests and the online to do. So, I'm just gonna have to sit there. We're gonna do my conversations and announcement today. So, the much of you today, long stories. So, Charlestown, what's in the means to the island, was meant to a lot of those honor the men of people, the children in the cities. Those included those animals that are around the world, those are around the beach. On the ships, Captain Flint, knowing there for the pirate ship, as Typhus ship is man of war, as revenge. From a new former captain from the Spanish captain as known. They died. They killed and slaughtered. They killed or slaughtered by the pirates. He mostly descended to the online there. He was a former and deceased. He was not sunk. He was stranded. The Walrus just battled. The Walrus just has against by the Spanish galleon. They have a most 124 cannons under this deck. There's a lot of the hundreds of them, and those are a lot of them. Those ships. And this is not a Spanish galleon. And this is the new name, the pirate galleon, as a fortress against the fort. If it's good, if it is not, you will get brilliant to seem to welcome there about the last year, about when the year 1715. If he most intelligently has been passed out about 302 years. Is this a safety? Is the most of the crossing there to the beach? Those landed there, lost of the boats, lost of the rowing the boats, and as the bigger and giant ships, whoever takes the revenge that takes the Charlestown's fort. He was in the agreement. He was concerned for everything. The pirate people most concerned about. He planned to run away to go back home, where they live. He will be different once to the bit again, and she was committedly. She was a confirmation on Charles Vane. He confronted her for no reasons. But he didn't do it by the man's neck. But they killed him. But he cut off his neck. They tried to do something to see the veins going on there. And they were sent to the dungeon, and he was gonna show him to fall it by her for something by her. One of these the woman couldn't die. She was alive. She was known about war against piracy as criminal investigations. He has the most idea, and this is about abductors. He knows about the way she's here. Wanted to say Jesus Christ. They said that they had no idea what he's saying. What Singleton was work on those friend and the crew. he was figuring it out to saying the online there about many of them for minus ones. They were against them, and they told you they cheer up, and he captured it, and the British ships on the flag, and when the pirate galleon has the 164 cannons on it, and those are the side and side to the left and right side, and those are the both sides about 164 to the X to 2. That could be 124 cannons on it. I believe it's 160 cannons on it. And so the left and right side, there's all 120 cannons on it on those deck, and there's a back of there just under there. There's 4 cannons on it. A lot of the big guns under the deck in the back side, just under. And those a lot of the viewers there. All the crew has to know about it. He cheer out the leaders. They don't know about it being they don't know it has to fire to the fortress until it arrived for 5 days. 5 days later. And Clara Paget and Jessica Kennedy Parker and former Hannah New for a second season, and Toby Schmidt. If they were sex each other, they were nude, suddenly naked on the bed. And they were hurt of it. They decided the scene wasn't the same. They were working, and they were busy. They are hardful to be talking to the woman very hardly. And she was saying, "Love as is love," and those are the 2 girls just about a little bit incited to the lesbian to kiss and sex. What she says, she have no idea. She no idea what she be about the stories. She was just saying she was kissing her. Was it the sex? Was it under the in the sides? Was it the vaginal? Was it the vaginal into the her body? Was she was in clearance? What she heard it? She's 2 of them that cute. They're deciding. They're searching out to find out what is it she seems it. Well, what she said that about few things about a 10 or 15 about 4 about any she had it about very threatened in this about the world. Well, she had to be entirely she should be threatened about the women in the town and the Charles. Those of them who walked there to the side by side, and she must be get away from it, but she was slept behind the left of the side of the Clara was playing Anne. Well, she was heard of it once quite enough, but Miss Guthrie was no longer to see her once again until about 4 days later. On one should they have before was Peringate was that they have most of them before. She was saying they ruined their life, and she was stubborn. She was stressed. She was stressing out for Flint. What is he saying? He don't care about Miss Guthrie. He don't care for Eleanor, and she was getting married to someone else. She was getting Max, and Anne was sex in the bed tonight each other, and most Max and Max each other today was a bit, and formerly Eleanor was not gonna be able to see Max again. She was saying stay away from it, and she stay out of it. He could be ridiculous. What Eleanor the Vain was could be sex in a dungeon. He could be showing him something, but something else. He gets fire from the revenge was able to the 60 can or somebody to decide to left of them was it those about who was getting about for the exploded on the 100 about 12 50 100 yards to the ways. And one of the reasons about the ambushing for the catering fire. Felicitous's crew was the pirate ship as man of war as galleon, and this is not a Spanish galleon, and this is remain as war as a pirate galleon as revenge. It takes from but the Spanish captain. There were all the soldiers that could be died was the disease out there. He was worse that there could be the disease. It was a badass experience scary crap, you know. She was very most disappointed. She was imaginary any of them about this stupendous, and they have most interviewing for the girl wasn't saying anything. I was just telling someone what was wrong with them. They say what's wrong. And they said that for nothing now. They said that for nothing, for kicked her out. They having nobody or no reason. The reason could be that having in the start. It could be having some kick their ass, and many say, what the fuck are you doing? They having the bad guy, and those are most about former bad guys fighting much other, and they kicked out, and it didn't have much big deal, and Eleanor was walked into the bar, was torturing the guy, was cutting to the man's neck. She was blood. She was dropping from the blood of where his body is, and he was dead. He was slaughtering. He was one of the slaughtering at the bar restaurant. They were drunk. They were drug. They do have it saying everything, but he didn't learn that lesson. That she wasn't a complaint. She wasn't a complaint. He hasn't doing anything wrong, but he says try to get away from it. She was supposed to do something. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that very happy. What did he do? What did he has to do something? She wasn't gonna have to say. So I don't believe what they have here was it a good plan. But what are they saying? They have no idea what he's talking to. One of the land of man of warship landed to the Charlestown. Was getting able to attack the Charlestown's fort. It was being waited until about 5 days for later. It was the baddest things about it, the idea things about it, hate this land ever. And they have sent to the British ships to Charlestown to welcome me there to about the British Empire, the lieutenants there, the governors and officers, and there's the soldiers who could be guarding to the for one of the second season. It could be about arrival, it could be 3, or it could be the 10 ships in there. However, one of the children's things stood against piracy, hang by their neck until they're dead. He choking, but he killed this man's neck, but they died. It could be underestimated. He could be about criminal and investigated. But except the says and the man and woman says, rest in peace. But except that. But he's gonna the worst at any about the time. It was a bit different. For once again, but again, was it barely most entirely and about the 1715 of a year. one of the issues about against the pirates, they have nothing, no idea what's the conversation tone of night in their house. It wasn't that government. It wasn't that government supposed to do. It's really something. It's certainly about really bad. It really gonna have to something about the most confusions about the cultures and natural cause, and at about 100 years old. But Atlanta, his father was his daughter was Mr. Guthrie, but his former daughter was confirmative, was that heard. They were talking about in the bar thing, the house, they said, get out of here. And they're very disappointed. They're most deliberately, she was walking their way. She told to get some rest, and about the one day that she will work on the quest book, and the ships and cargo hold, and the characters and characters they have to need to do is start doing for the Captain's vein. And he was the baddest thing. He was the badass things ever, and she didn't do a lot of things about she met them before. It's about how he did the quoting scene about the ships. The woman where's the farmer was pick up those things and make up for food, and they were hungry. They were harvesting the outdoors. They were farming. There were a lot of women, just as the farmer means workers. The most business there, she was been arrived at her house. She was thinking about the arguments and those below it. They met it because she do care about the vein. And she has very most learned of them. And she stretched the flanks out. And he wasn't notes of it back to his ships. But he started the trail. He starts waiting to the cannon fire for the fort for Charlestown. When the pirate was panicked to retreat it, and one of the guy was still alive, was not dead. He was passed out about few days ago. And later was the rest of the camp was a side to the history. Then Singleton was looking forward to the gates by his one of the guy wasn't Muscles of his name with it. It was a great idea. It was a do whatever they're gonna do is having to is knowing that them with each other. They don't know him. He didn't know him. He wasn't thief. He was former thief with each other, and he was just kind of about the hell is it? It's kind of, what the hell is this? I have no idea what you're saying. Oh no. One of the pirate ships, one of the pirate galleons was ready for the cannon fire. There's 160 cannon with 120 cannons. Back to the fort. Total 124 guns. There starts winning the bigger fire. She still waited about 2 more days for later. The LaFlint says, "What say you, Captain?" But he says, "We confirm with the implied nations." Fire. It was to be continued to 4 more episodes on the Dixmite DVD. It looks just like the DVD on the first CD. On the second CD on 4 more episodes. And they started to the cannery fire. He was been started to the bellowing. He was certainly to be wasted in about the time, and the one that have the cannon fire he was to start it. This job was in the quest book. He was signing out on the page of this book. when this about the planet will relocate to the from St. Augustine to it was the plan. It was the plan. Or was it great interesting about the Buccaneers, those in the pirates, marauders, and Spanish and the Spanish, British, or to mention the Dutch and French, and the African people just landed there. Those in the island of the third season. They have known what's a strange thing. Knowing that's the Strider's thing, and knows that alone. Well, what Shiyu says saying? The do whatever they're gonna do is nowhere to someone else. There's nobody to fire there under Charlestown's fort. When they wait until about one more day for all gets battle and then betrayals. And the pirates get retreat. But and the third season will be coming out this day about the plan when the British ship was coming to the Nassau, from the Nassau to the Charlestown in this island, to deport it, to the searching for everything, to the putting in those a lot of food and the fortress is good, everything will have to do. So Atlanta agrees for the and Max, and so is he. One of the guy was Jack, and Jack was very most in the bed together. When the Ain, Max, and Jack were sexing each other, there are three of them beside of a nude's bed, and the nude's on the bed. He wasn't that personally about the sex was apparently on the black sails. She was they have the slept in the tires. Then the no think the most interesting. The plan was the very most the moment. So I had to do something, I haven't most about the 4 seasons. They're coming up about 4 seasons on DVDs and seasoning about 4 seasons to be ended continued. In the most injustively and those around the world. Most things they have supposed to do be working on the any of them about soon enough of being most intelligently with the Toby was the first character with Flint, and Hannah has second one and plays Eleanor, and Jessica as Max, and Clara as Anne, and Toby has Jack Rackham. The former there mentioned the bullet Red Rackham for the adventurous Titan that fights back by to the Captain wants the film for the friendships and those who wanted them, but the pirates wants to be canopy fire. They have the 50 guns, 2 decks, everything someone else can do. It just sucks. If they have sucks sitting be crap on it. There are a lot of bread just yucky the stuff that have worms on it. She was pretty freaked out. She was yucky. She was not gonna eat it. She'd get sick, but they cannot be doing that. And she has disgusting things in this dungeon, into that jail, and prison, and intelligently a criminal investigating ever. She has no idea what they're gonna have to say. She was relaxed. She's gonna have to deal by him. So this is my quest. So I heard about the Black Sail for the last 3 years. So I've been heard about the first season and the eight of them for episodes. One thing we had to 6 of them, and through 8. And this is my problem then. This is my program. All the things have started for right now for the 2 years. as the Black Sails second season and the 8 more episodes. And if last year it's the 3rd season of Black Sails, that's the 8th season as one of the sites. And this is my program is also new by. And this all been new by Black Sails 4th season as this year's. We were following under the franchise of Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales. With everything about the Pirates of the Caribbean film series means movie marathon, trilogies, and first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and fourth movie to the 5th. And the 6th movie, Hoist the Colors. Everything will be need a pirate's life like Captain Jack Sparrow do. From Black Sails, The Adventure of Titans, Percy Jackson's second Sea of Monsters, and from The Lightning Thief and the Olympians in the first movie. And The Pirates and Misfits, The Hobbit trilogy from The Lord of the Rings, The Unexpected Journey, The Desolation of Smaug, and The Battle of 5 Armies. And the Baywatch coming out this year. And Alessandro Daddario announced on Henry Cavill for Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Justice League, The Gnomes Thing, The Serpent Kingsley, The Jungle Book, The Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time, and Shutter Island, and she plays the idea with also special guest stars. When Daddario was stars of Percy Jackson film series, Burying the X, True Detective, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Workaholics, the romantic movies The Choice, San Andreas, Warner Bros, devastating disasters movies, and when we first met, the romantic movies, We Will Always Live in the Castle with Tasha Farmiga, and Sebastian Stan from Captain America trilogy, and the next Marvel's Adventures coming out this Part 1 to 2018, Part 2 is 2019. And Chris Pratt for Jurassic World next year for sequel 2 coming out this year. The engine sent to the Isla Sorna from Isla Nublar. The park is closed. It was been a long time, about 3 years. It was a bad idea. Was Rexy the Tyrannosaurus Rex was back in new home after the fight for the Indominus Rex. She killed by Mosasaurus, with Rexy and Blue was alone. The 3 siblings was killed by the Indian soldiers, with Charlie and Delta, and Echo was killed by Irex. But Pteranodon and Demophodon was Avery. The bird's cage was the Avery was escaped. They were destroyed. There is no 20,000 people in Isla Nublar. The park is closed. They grow up to the grass. That happens in 3 years. So today's day is all the things about 45,000 people on Isla Sorna in the park, longest park in this world, longest days ever to the dark continent. When the new dinosaurs, it's Brachiosaurus, Brontosaurus, Camarasaurus, Apatosaurus, Parasaurolophus, Triceratops, Spinosaurus, and carnivores, the Velociraptors, Utahraptors, and Compsognathus, and Monosaurus, Corythosaurus, Gallimimus, Pachycephalosaurus, Stegosaurus, and Kylosaurus, and Torosaurus, and Supersaurus, known as the sauropods, and Diplodocus, and largest herbivores ever. And the small herbivore most of them have the small petty things ever. So we're gonna have to see Jurassic World 2 coming out today. This teaser of trailer today as the day of the truth. So today, guys, Don't forget to subscribe to more content, links description, follow on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Google, Refines, Twitch live stream, Gaming Channels, Drug Store on Elmy, New Jersey, State, Cockatoo, Cocker Story, Hangouts, and Tomaland on Play Store. Follow the distributor links description of friends on McJugger Nuggets, Big Brother, Jody Star Barker, Kid Behind the Camera, Bridger West, The Eagle Grandpa Shows, Grandpa's Corner, Psycho Dad, Larry Slouch, Joe Bum, Psycho Mom, Ann Melissa, Psycho Aunts, Psycho Uncles, Tom Abraham, Manicorn, Juliet Riley, Derek Diesel Daily, Cube Guy, The Cube Guy Life, Nest Booth, Life of Boo, Space Jam Gardens, Life of Moko, The Boo Show, with his girlfriend Derek, and here was Facilita, Tony Tornado as Crazy Boyfriend, then Amanda Jean Shows, Crazy in Love, Woman Atwood Wings, Elliot Gaius, Ben Fellas, Nana Gaius here, and Matt Bummer, then the Elman Next Stars, Logan Lerman, Brennan T. Jackson, Jake Aba, Alwood Aba, Jim Perrick, Levi Rampin Perrick, Allison Didario, Captain, Ben and Justin Farlander, and Margie Robbie, and Justin Upton of Detroit Tigers today, and Ben Affleck, Henry Calville, Amy Adams. Super cute today. Super awesome, strong and cute. Pretty awesome. And over subscription to today, Team Creed, Both Squad, Reagan Dad. Let's see what started. Boogie 2988 today. So I'm glad to be here today. Violet's first. And Alexander Daddario, Topic Forever, Alex Anna. So cast of Black Sails, Johnny Depp, Orlando Bloom, Keira Knightley, and Catherine Daddario, Matthew Daddario on Shadow Hunters, Dominic Word. Love you guys, so feel free to death. So don't forget, so keep rich middies.